Hey guys, so I have my Perfume bag. So starting off strong is Goddess from Burberry.
Cause I heard them first, I said, hold on. I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Number 2 is Miss Dior, and y'all, this lasts a very, very long time. Whenever I spray her on my uniform, when I'm washing my clothes, I still smell her. Very much 10 out of 10. Coming in number 3 is Paris from Chanel. Very tea. It gives me like very mature vibes. For number 4, these two right here, like this right here is a showstopper. This will.
Should the United States military be banned from all social media? Now, what you just saw was a petty officer, 3rd class, doing what I would say is an embarrassment to that uniform that he's wearing, showing the examples of all the perfume that he prefers, or cologne, whatever you want to call it. Now, this is where I step in, and I might step on my tongue, but I want to get your opinion on this. What we're seeing across social media is not normal. Now, if you're not in uniform, I want you to do whatever you want, whatever will make you happy. But when you put on that uniform, I don't care what branch of service you're in, you are a direct representative of the United States military, whether it be Navy, Army, Marines, Coast Guard, Air Force, Space Force. You're a direct representative of all of those branches of service. And you probably didn't even think about it. And I don't think that guy thought about it, but he looked like an idiot. He looked like a moron, and he brought discredit to that uniform, whether he intended it or not. And I'll battle you in the comments, so feel free to leave a comment. But I am at the point of banning every military member from social media. If you want to use Facebook, if you want to use something like that to keep in touch with your family back home, I think that even has some restrictions and maybe some guidance that should be put in place because of national security. And what we've seen over the last few months are people really...
It's very strong, very powdery, very mature, very grown. I love this. I like to mix them, y'all. And I know these are very expensive, so... Coming in number 6 is La Bamba from Carolina Herrera. I think that's how you pronounce her last name, please excuse me. When I tell y'all, this right here smells so good, and it reminds me of Jimmy Choo. It has a very similar smell. I don't know if they share the same base notes, so I'm actually going to look that up. But y'all, real tea. And if you don't want to spend that much money on perfume and you want something that's like cheaper but lasts a very long time, I recommend this brand right here called Sol de Janeiro. So my favorite one from this brand is the Rio Radiance. And when I tell y'all, it smells so good. These bottles are like $31. I just bought these yesterday. They are already full. They're going to be gone less than a month, y'all. But when I tell y'all 10 out of 10 recommend, I got 87, I got 59, and I also got 62. This is for the vanilla girlies. So if you like vanilla, go ahead and get you one of these.
Not looking out for the United States military or those family members when they are posting stuff, when they're going to the New York Times and complaining that their daughter was deployed too long, while the house husband sits back with the mother-in-law. You can go check out that video. I put that out yesterday. But there's a national security risk to all of this. And if there's enough people putting out different little pieces of content, and you put a lot of those together, you can come to some real big conclusions. You can come to some information that maybe the United States military doesn't need you to. The national security risk doesn't need you to be able to come up with that stuff. So that's where I'm at on the national security level. The other thing is, you give away these little breadcrumbs. You give away these little morsels, these crumbs that can very well be tracked back to your family members back at home. And that in itself could also bring into concern their personal safety. Let's think about this. Let's say you're a radio operator on a submarine. You deal with a lot of classified information, highly classified, the highest of classification. Let's say you've got a social media account and, in the background there's a street sign close to your house. And then you make another video 2 weeks later with a parked car, a license plate. And let's say 3 months later, you do another one. Well, it's not real hard with the use of AI to pinpoint down probably where you're living or the neighborhood. And then let's just go sit in that neighborhood and watch you get out of that car and walk into that house. Now I know where you live. I also know any of that family that's in that house or people in that house you might have some relations to. And let's just say I'm a bad person and I took one of those people. And then I compromised your integrity because you're worried about that family member's safety. Let's also look at it from the other side. You're getting paid with some of this social media. Maybe you're monetized on TikTok. Maybe you're monetized on YouTube. You're making a little scratch on some of these platforms. And let's say somebody approaches you with an advertisement. Hey, I want you to talk about widgets, and we'll pay you X amount of money for these widgets. Let's say we're going to pay you more than what talking about widgets is actually worth. But we want you to spin it that these widgets are the best for America. And you do it in uniform. Are you seeing where I'm going here? Basically, whatever uniform you've got on became the endorsee for said widget. Let's say said widget is made in Communist Republic of China. You're in a United States Marine uniform or Navy uniform advertising for a widget for a communist country. And now the United States Marine Corps has a problem with you endorsing that. That's how this can go. And there's a lot of great active duty people on all these platforms. And the ones that are not doing it in uniform probably shouldn't suffer or have to pay the price for the stupidity of a few. But if you've been in the military, you know that's not how the game is played. If you had Seaman Schmuckatelli fail a barracks inspection, well, guess what? Everybody in that barracks is probably going to have a barracks re-inspection on a Saturday by the Command Master Chief, by the Command Sergeant Major. We had a saying on the boat, one crew, one screw, meaning exactly that. One individual screws up, it affects the entire boat. We call it a boat. A lot of you will call it a submarine. So that's where I'm at on this. And I know the other aspect of this is you're a full-time employee of the United States military, whatever branch of service you're in. And let's say on the weekends you're making some videos and you're making a little money. You have to let your chain of command know that you have a second job. As soon as that channel is monetized, it is a job. You're going to get a 1099 from whatever platform. That's an income. And that income needs to be reported. It has to be made aware to your chain of command. Last time I checked, TikTok was still owned by the Communist government of China. Maybe they were going to sell it. I don't know who's bought it. Fill me in the comments and we can argue down there. But that's the other part of this, is the monetization. Now, I know a lot of veteran YouTube channels. I'm not as familiar with TikTok and Instagram. I know some veterans on Facebook, and they're monetized, and they're making a little bit of money on the side. I make a little bit of money off of my channel, not enough to buy, very many of these cigars. And this is a Davidoff Millennial Robusto is what I'm smoking today. Dominican Republic. It's an Ecuadorian binder. I love Dominican tobacco. It's a very good cigar. It's some of the money off of my channel. I buy myself cigars so I can come and talk to you. I also help some veterans with service dogs and things like that. But some of these guys on YouTube, active duty and veterans, are reliant on these incomes. And when you get a little bit of taste of some of that money, it becomes infectious. And you'll start saddling up with maybe some of these sponsors that don't align with the core values of the United States military. That's where things can go sideways. Good friend of mine has a channel. He's active duty, United States Navy. I don't believe I've ever seen him make a video in uniform. He probably has, I don't know. But he talks a lot about other military members that are in uniform doing stupid stuff. And you should go check out his channel, Nikki MGTV. I'll put the link down below. Now, various people on various platforms have experienced problems from talking about things in uniform. And I think the one thing that all of them need to understand, that uniform is not a prop. It is not a prop for you to monetize. You are not a private citizen in or out of that uniform. When you're under contract with Uncle Sam, you are not a private citizen. And this goes up and down. I've seen videos and stuff of even Tulsi Gabbard when she is still in the Army Reserves, is the last time I checked, as a lieutenant colonel. And you've got to be very damn careful. At her level, National Security, Director of National Intelligence. It would be very easy for somebody like that to be compromised. It'd be very easy for a senator or a congressman, like former Congressman Eric Swalwell out in California, to become compromised by someone from China. I think her name was Fang Fang or Bang Bang. Maybe they were doing the Bang Bang is the reason he got compromised. But guys, I think that is where there needs to be a line drawn in the proverbial sand. And I'm probably going to get some heat from other veterans that think active duty members should be able to make social media content. I say go for it, but you better do it the right way. You better not do it in uniform, because you're looking for trouble. And I'll tell you this, back on my old boat, one of my old boats, I lived in the barracks. Submarine community, we're into some classified stuff, some sensitive stuff. There were stickers on all the phones in our barracks, and this was when phones had a long cord. And it was long enough so everybody in the barracks room, there were 3 bunks, you could use it wherever. But it was made very aware to us that those phones were being monitored. Now, were they being monitored? I don't know. But I assumed everything I said in that room was being monitored. This was before cell phones. This was early 90s. And that sticker scared the shit out of me because it said, you know, prosecuted, go to prison, you're going to have some bowel problems, you know, that kind of thing. And I didn't want to go to Leavenworth. I've never been there. Well, I visited a buddy there that was in Leavenworth, but I never wanted to go there as a, let's say, a resident of Leavenworth. But what are your thoughts? Have you seen someone in a military uniform on social media and you thought to yourself, how in the hell is he getting away with this? How in the hell is she talking bad about the president, talking bad about her chain of command, talking bad about his captain that he doesn't like, or his sergeant major that he doesn't like, or his gunny that he doesn't like? It's no different that if I worked at, let's say, a Ford dealership. Hold on. Daisy, Dixie, get out of there. Get out of that flower bed. Get out of that flower bed. Digging up flowers. It's no different than if I worked at a Ford dealership and I pulled up there in the employee parking lot in a Chevy Lumina and I started bad-mouthing the Mustang. And people saw me bad-mouthing Ford, even though Ford pays my bills, and somebody went to my sales manager and said, hey, Ben over there is bad-mouthing the Mustang. I'm not going to buy one now because he was talking bad about it. I would hope that sales manager come and fired me, or at a minimum said, hey, you do what you want, but you don't talk about who's paying your bill. You got to dance with who brought you. I don't care how fat she is. You owe her a few dances. Or him. But think about what that's doing to the good order and discipline that the military relies on, thrives on. Think about it, what it's doing to military recruiting. Think about what it's doing to the morale of the family that is back home, right? I mean, think about it, guys. I've got sponsors here on my channel, Biltong, various other things down below. I don't want to badmouth them. I believe in what they're doing. And they want to believe in what I'm saying. I would never come on here and badmouth any of my sponsors. They help pay for my cigars, so to speak. So I'd love to get your thoughts on this. And I'll stand by my statement at the beginning of this video. I think all active duty members of the military, I would even say reserve and guard, should be banned from social media. Because the potential to be influenced to say something bad about your branch of service, or say something that could be inherently dangerous to some of your family members, or national security, or operations, is there. That risk is there. And I don't think that risk is something we need to take lightly in today's age of the way the internet works. And I'll leave on this note another story from the boat. We'd been out to sea for about 70 plus days. We were coming back in through the Hood Canal Bridge up in the Puget Sound. There's a submarine base up there in Washington. We were on the surface. We had crossed through the Hood Canal Bridge. If you've been there, you know exactly where I'm talking about. On the surface, we could see about a nautical mile, 2 nautical miles down there. We had the tugs coming up alongside, and the pilot boat. The pilot was about to get on. The explosive handling wharf where they load stuff was just up there on the port side. You could see it. It was getting bigger. We were excited as pigs in shit about getting back to port. There were wives, there were families, there were children on the port or on the pier waiting to give daddy a hug, or, you know, their husband, their loved one. Some moron down below sent a text message to I think it was a girlfriend that was on the pier waiting for him. This was whenever there was only men on submarines. There was some equipment in that area that intercepted that outgoing text message to that family member on the pier. Within minutes, those tugboats turned us around and we went back out to sea for the better part of 3 weeks. I'm going to tell you right now, that person's life that did that became instantly labeled, let's just call it a shitstorm. It was hell. Not only did that person go and talk to the commanding officer with that green pool table that they put out there. There's no balls on that table, I'll say that. And typically, if you had any, they put them up there and chop them off and hand them back to you. It's called captain's mast. So he got busted. He also got restricted to the boat. And the crew basically blackballed him so that he never got qualified in submarines, and he was discharged and went to gotten rid of from our boat, went to the surface fleet. That's what happened to him. I still remember his name. I won't say it here. I don't want to embarrass him. But that is the kind of national security implication that was at hand. And we take that very, very, very important. Because if he would have done it then, when would he have not done it? Or when had he done it that we didn't know about? Loose lips sink ships. It's a saying going back to World War II. And it sank our ship because we had to turn around and go back out and dive. And I'll leave you with that little sea story. It's a true story. And if you have had anything like that happen in your life, where somebody gave away some classified information, maybe about a widget that y'all were making at your company, leave that comment down below. And if you think I am in left field by saying that active duty military should not have social media, I'll argue with you down in the comments below. And I'll tell you this, family members of active duty military. Now, the commanding officer can't do anything to you, but I guarantee you NCIS or some of these other government agencies can, when you start leaking information that puts that crew, that ship, that airplane, that battalion, that squadron or company at risk. When you start putting people in uniform, putting their lives at risk, you become the problem. You become the danger that we don't need. There's too much stuff happening around the world, and we don't want another Bo Bergdahl. We don't want another Snowden. We don't want another John Walker. We don't need that. Okay? Thanks for watching. It's the Ben Dykes channel. Just sitting out here having a good cigar. I got my dogs scattered around me. I got this big glass of entitled iced tea. Smoking this Davidoff Millennial Robusto. Ecuadorian wrapper. Dominican binder and filler. It got a V-cut on it. A lot of people don't like a V-cut. I like a V-cut. And I'm just relaxing in the shade. Thank you for sitting here with me and listening to me vent about the problems that I see in America. And we're going to get through every one of them on this channel. Thanks for watching.